Okay, and we are back. Welcome again to John's Sports Corner here on the Sosofat Media Network, the global Caribbean media capital. And let's, as promised, start with cricket. West Indies lose the first test against Australia, Kensington Oval in Barbados, by 179 runs. Australia 180, Travis Head 59, Usman Khawaja 47, Pat Cummins 28, Jaden Sears 5 for 60, Shamar Joseph 4 for 46, and they scored 310 in their second innings with Alex Carey getting 65, Bo Webster 63, Travis Head 61, Shamar Joseph 5 for 87, Azar Joseph 2 for 65. West Indies, 190. Shea Hope got 48. Roston Chase, the captain, 44. Mitchell Stark, 3 for 65. Josh Hazelwood, Pat Cummins, and Bo Webster, 2 wickets each. And West Indies, 141 in their second innings. Shamar Joseph top scored with 44. Justin Greaves, 38 not out. Josh Hazelwood, 5 for 43, and Nathan Lyon, 2 for 20. Now, there were 3 questionable umpiring decisions by South African TV umpire Adrian Holstock that went against the West Indies.
Yes.
The match may have had a different outcome had those decisions been in West Indies' favor. West Indies head coach Darren Sammy was fined 15% of his match fee and assessed a 1 demerit point for code of conduct breach in speaking publicly about the cause in a post-match interview.
Yes.
Bad enough when a TV umpire makes 1 bad call in a game. But when he makes 3 in the same match, he should be pulled from the series and retrained.
Well, as the saying goes, John, 3 strikes and you're out.
You know, Trevor, I think it's unfair for Sammy to be fined and no apparent penalty assessed to the umpire in question. Perhaps there should be 3 persons sitting as TV umpires, or like baseball.
Yes.
When a questionable call is to be decided, it should go directly to a panel.
Yes.
At ICC headquarters. No need then for an underground TV umpire.
And that makes sense.
The technology is such that this is possible.
Yes, there are some people who think that these people are operating like dictators, John, that, that what they say goes whether it be right or wrong. And I am a little bit concerned about the way it was brought to light, on the occasion that that it was brought to light. Sometimes only actions like these can bring enough light and enough discussion or analysis of a situation. Okay, and I know that it's not, you don't want the precedents to be set that you start doing the way to handle these type of challenges, or is to go public, because that is not really where anyone would like to see it goes. But at the same time, it might provoke some actions to be taken now against the complaint, not against the complaint, against the complaint, which would prevent frustration from coming into the system, where someone has to use a public forum to draw attention to something that should have been assessed, some consideration before.
And of course, the technology is there for everybody to see.
Yes.
You know that there were three blatant errors made.
Yes.
Cricket West Indies, I think, however, should take the bull by the horn and refuse to play if Adrian Holzer continues to be part of the officiating crew. It brings back memories, Trevor, to I think it was 1981, when England included South Africa's Robin Jackman in their team,
Hmm.
and Guyana refused to grant him a visa for the test match in Guyana.
Okay. Okay.
The
That. that
second test tomorrow at the National Stadium in Grenada, Craig Brathwaite set to play his 100th test match. This second test could be a test of fast bowlers, as the
aye.
Grenada pitch is known to favor pace.
Uh-huh.
But West Indies cannot grasp 7 chances and expect to win a test match.
Well, that is true. The fielding was lousy.
Regardless of what the umpire did, you can't give up 7 catches.
No.
Meanwhile, Mitchell Starch needs 9 wickets to become the fourth Australian to reach 400 test wickets.
Oh.
Ahead of him are Shane Warne, 708,
Mm.
Glenn McGrath, 563, and Nathan Lyon, 556.
Ooh. Mm.
England named an unchanged team for today's second test, opting to leave out Jofra Archer, who is in the squad, while India resting Jasprit Bumrah. England decided to field first, and the Indian selectors actually were criticized, Trevor, for going too defensive for this second test by replacing Sai Saunderson and
Mm.
Shardul Thakur with Nitish Kumar Reddy and Washington Sundar.
Uh-huh.
Anyway, as stumps on day one, India rather, 310 for 5.
Mm-hmm.
Shubman Gill 114, not out. His second consecutive century as captain.
Yes.
Yashavi Jaiswal 87. Ravindra Jadeja 41, not out. And Jadeja and Gill are sharing in a 99-run 6-wicket partnership. Hopefully, when they come back tomorrow morning, they can extend that 99 runs. But I think India need to score at least 400 runs in this first innings, Trevor. Anyway, Chris Woke so far 2 for 59. Sri Lanka defeated Bangladesh by an innings and 78 runs in their second and final test at
Mm-hmm.
Colombo. Bangladesh 247 and 133. Sri Lanka 458. Pathan Nisanka 158 for Sri Lanka, while Prabhat Jayasuriya bagged 5 for 50 in the Bangladesh second innings.
Mm-hmm.
Sri Lanka win the series 1-0 with the first test drawn. Meanwhile, in the first of 3 one-days at Colombia today, Sri Lanka by 77 runs over Bangladesh. Sri Lanka 244 in 49.2 overs. Cherish Azalanka 106, Kusal Mendes 45, Taskin Ahmed 4 for 47 from 10 overs, Tanzim Hassan Shakib 3 for 45 from 9.2 overs. Bangladesh 167 in 35.5 overs, Tanzit Hassan 62, Jeka Ali 51, Wanindu Hazaranga 4 for 10 from 7.5 overs, Kamindu Mendes 3 for 19 from 5 overs.
Okay.
India women take a 2-0 lead over England women by winning game 2 of their 5-game T20 series by 24 runs at Bristol.
Mm-hmm.
India women 181 for 4 from 20 overs. Jamima Rodriguez, 63. Amanjot Kaur, 63 not out. Richard Gosh, 32 not out. Lauren Bell, 2 for 17 from 4 overs. England women, 157 for 7 from 20 overs. Tammy Bowman, 54. Sophia Eccleston, 35. Amy Jones, fit 32. Sharani, 2 for 28 from her 4 overs. South Africa, more cricket, defeated Zimbabwe by 328 runs in their Bulawayo first test. South Africa 418 for 9. Luan Dre Pretorius 153, the youngest test centurion in South African history. He is 19 and change. Corbin Bosch 100 not out. Dewald Brevis 51. Tanaka Shivanga 4 for 83. Blessing Muzarabani 2 for 59. And 369 in their second innings. Wian Mulder 147. When Wellington Mazakadza 4 for 98. Tanaka Shivanga 2 for 76. 2 for 76. Vincent Masakesa, 2 for 117. Zimbabwe, 251. Sean Williams, 137. Wian Mulder, 4 for 50. Cody Yusuf, 3 for 42. Keshav Maharaj, 3 for 70. And Zimbabwe, 208 in their second innings. Wellington Masakadza, 57. Craig Irving, 49. Corbin Bosch, 5 for 43. Cody Yusuf, 3 for 22. Again, let's go to a break, and when we come back, we'll have some more cricket, lovely cricket on the local scene. We'll be right back. And we are back again, as promised, with Cricket Love, Live Cricket. And again, welcome to John Sports Corner here on the Social Bowl Media Network, the global Caribbean media capital at Lauderhill. And we are talking now Major League Cricket. Seattle Orcas by 4 wickets over San Francisco Unicorns. Unicorns, 168 for 5 from 20 overs. Sanjay Krishna Murthy, 41. Jake Fraser McGurk, 35. Tim Surfeit, 31. Ian Desai, 2 for 32 from 3 overs. Orcas, 169 for 6 from 19.3 overs. Shimran Hetmaya, 78 not out. Cheyenne Jahangir, 36. Xavier Bartlett, 2 for 42 from 2 overs. And tonight, Texas Super Kings will be playing the Washington Freedom at Lauderhill. Major League Cricket teams for our viewers, for our listeners, are the Los Angeles Knight Riders, Mumbai Indians or New York, San Francisco Unicorns, Seattle Orcas, Texas Super Kings, and the Washington Freedom. And Cricket West Indies on the 19 tournament bowls off tomorrow in St. Kitts and Nevis. Barbados takes on Guyana. Jamaica plays the United States. Leeward Islands play Windward Islands. And, you know, as I mentioned in earlier programs, while I was at the New York City PSAL high school cricket final between Richmond Hill and Thomas Edison, and a week later at the PSAL high school all-star game, and New York City cricket officials asked me how was the USA under-19 team selected when he has never seen a selector at any of the high school games. And of course, you know, Trevor, I have on my PSL All-Star shirt.
Well, you know, John, the question is moot because just about every category of sport that we have been looking at, we still draw attention to the fact that there doesn't seem to be this community um, representation from of the higher levels of the sport. So that we talk about not being able to promote our athletes or our players because nobody really knows about them until they maybe get to a breakout level or until they give up and does not decide to practice the sport anymore.
Hmm. Yeah, true. Anyway, Trevor, as a public service announcement, Dynamic Cricket Club dinner and presentation function is scheduled for this weekend, July 5th, at
Mhm.
2050 Bartow Avenue in the Bronx. And
Okay.
you can call 917-741-6009 for tickets.
Okay.
And of course, remember, tickets are now available for the 44th Cricket Hall of Fame induction ceremony scheduled for Saturday, October the 4th at the Marriott Hotel in Windsor, Connecticut. World of Football CONCACAF Gold Cup update. Let's start with the quarterfinals. As Panama and Honduras played to a 1-1 stalemate, Honduras winning 5-4 in penalty shootout. Mexico 2-0 over Saudi Arabia. Canada and Guatemala in a 1-1 stalemate. Guatemala 6-5 penalty shootout winners.
Mm.
USA and Costa Rica in a 2-2 stalemate.
Oh.
USA 4-3 penalty shootout winners. So
Oh.
tonight's semifinal at 7, USA plays Guatemala. And at 10 o'clock, Mexico takes on Honduras.
Mhm.
And Jamaica's under-strength reggae girls stripped 7 goals to zip by England in Sunday's friendly at Leicester City FC's King Power Stadium.
Mm.
And, I think we keep harping on Khadija Bonishaw, but she cannot help if the defense and midfield isn't strong. I remember when Vin Blaine came in as coach of the Reggae Girls, his first order of business was to work on defense.
Yes.
Vin didn't last long, and when Lauren Donaldson replaced Vin, Lauren seemed to have got some of it right. But
Mm.
Coach Busby hasn't shown me he is capable of setting up a defensive core that will help us, the Reggae Girls, get to their 3rd World Cup
Right.
final
Mm.
or tournament, I should say.
Mm.
And don't tell me the experience was beneficial when you lose 7-0.
Not at all. Not at all. That is that is unforgivable, John. Okay.
And and Trevor, you may recall following the US friendly at what was it, 4-0 win over our Jamaica Reggae Girls. I said then that I didn't like what I saw of our girls. I didn't like how they played. I didn't like how they played defense. But there's still time, so we shall see.
You mean there's still time to change the coach, John?
Well, there's time to change the coach, and there's time for the coach to figure out a defensive strategy.
But John, I would say that from an amateur spectator point of view, when you go down 3-0, John, and you realize that you don't have the arsenal in place to stop the British, then I would say that you're gonna minimize the hurt by putting
Destruction.
by putting 9 players on defense, John.
Yeah, well, are doing something.
Yeah.
to shore up the defense or try to shore up the defense.
I mean, if you keep on playing the game the same way from first start to finish, and you're not making any adjustments to the fact that you're being outgunned, then it's time to get a new coach done.
Yeah, yeah. Anyway, Trevor, Demarai Gray, the reggae boy, seems to set to return to English football championship team Birmingham City after agreeing to terms on a free transfer from Saudi Arabia Pro League team Al Etit.
Okay.
Trevor. Okay,
Mm.
but um with the Pro League, Saudi Arabia Pro League retaining what they call a sell on clause of 20%. And for the benefit of those who do not know what a sell on clause is,
Mm-hmm.
it is a clause in a player's contract that entitles the selling club to a percentage of any future transfer fee the buying club receives if they sell the player to a third club.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Demarai Gray is returning to the club whose academy he came up with. And Gray
Oh.
has scored 7 goals in 27 appearances for the Reggae Boys.
Mhm.
Looking at FIFA Club World Cup, last 16 action, Borussia Dortmund 2-0 over Monterrey, Al Hilal 4-3 over Manchester City, Real Madrid 1-0 over Juventus, Fluminense 2-0 over Inter Milan, Paris Saint-Germain 4-0 over Inter Miami, Bayern Munich 4-2 over Flamengo, Palmeiras 1-0 over Botafogo, and Chelsea 4-1 over Benfica.
Mhm.
And results from Jamaica's Women's Premier League from the weekend: Arnett Gardens 11-0 over Springers United, Cavalier 8-0 over Federal United, Proven Girls 2-0 over UWI, Wi-Fi 2-1 over Real Mobe, Los Perfectos 1-0 over Mile Gully.
Mm.
I tell you what, folks, let's go to another break. And when we come back from this break, we'll be talking netball, we'll be talking boxing, and we will span a little of the Caribbean. We'll be right back. Okay, welcome back to John's Sports Corner on the Social Bone Media Network, the global Caribbean media capital. And again, we jump to netball. As I said to you earlier, Trevor, sometimes when you see things, you're getting ready to do the program, but you see some things pop up in
Oh yeah.
sports. And so you say, well, let me get a quick tip on this so that I can include it in this report. In
Breaking
netball,
breaking news, John. Breaking news.
the Bob and Rita Marley Foundation has donated Jamaica $500,000 in support of Jamaica's under 21 team on their road to the under 21 World Cup.
Aye.
Gibraltar will be hosting the under 21 World Cup September 19th through the 28th.
Aye.
And again, months after postponements, Netball Jamaica have set July 5th for their first annual general meeting in 4 years.
Wow.
The last annual general meeting was 2021, and at that time, the financial report was for the year
Mm.
2020. All the executive positions, including president, first vice president, second vice president, treasurer, and so on, are to be filled,
Mhm.
with incumbent President Tricia Robinson stepping down Karen Rosenbaum is the only person who has put her hand to replace Trisha Robinson as Netball Jamaica president.
Mm-hmm.
And again, if elected president, Karen Rosenbaum says she wants Netball Jamaica to get back to the period run by Marva Bernard when annual general meetings were a norm.
Mm-hmm.
She also wants executives with the mindset to work and give of their time, also that they must have integrity.
Wow. No,
And
that is
I guess we will have her on after the election, Trevor, because I understand she's talking about like a Caribbean netball pro league or something like that. I don't know how that will work. We'll have to pick her brain on that one
well,
on what she has planned.
well, I would think, John, that if you have existing pro leagues in other places,
Hmm.
at least it gives you a model or a pilot project to look at. And considering that we are not less smart than some of those other people in those places, my friend used to say that copy is the best compliment that someone can pay you, John.
Well, and it used to be a carbon copy until they have you can print it, you know. Trevor. Um, yeah, you know, she seemed to have some ideas, Conroy. I'm sorry, not Conroy, Trevor.
Mhm.
She seemed to have some ideas that um want to push netball in the Caribbean to a higher, to if we want to call it to a higher heights. Because let's not forget, you know, Trinidad and Tobago shared the first world championship in netball, you know.
Yes, yes.
But they have fallen by the wayside since, and you have to wonder how come, why, you know. Um, and St. Lucia plays netball, Barbados, all the Caribbean islands have netball
Mhm.
teams, but Jamaica is leaps and bounds ahead of them.
Yes.
And again, as I've mentioned before, it's so unfortunate that for Jamaica to get competition in netball at the senior level, they have to go to England, they have to go to Australia or to New Zealand.
Well, they might have to start creating some farms, John, on the smaller islands, and put some money in them, John,
Well,
because the population of Jamaica gives it an advantage as an English-speaking territory over Grenada, St. Kitts, Barbados. So population-wise, you have more people to choose from. Therefore, you can establish a better base for developing the sport. I so when she speaks Caribbean, I would say that the only way that the Caribbean can really improve right now is by, is by helping the smaller, by putting a program in place that will develop the sport more in the smaller islands.
mhm.
And I think that she has the right, she has the right idea. And World Netball now should look at developing Caribbean netball, John. Jamaica does not need their help. Jamaica has reached the top of the ladder,
Yeah,
and
but we have not won that world championship yet, Trevor.
yeah, but there are many countries that are as good as Jamaica who have not won the world championship. But when
But yes, but Trevor, those are those countries. I want Jamaica to win the world championship
you know,
because when you look at even Africa, you know, South Africa, Malawi, what's the other one? I think it's 3 or 4 African countries now that have pretty good netball teams,
yes,
you know, and
and
but I don't think, you know, Trevor. I mean, if they have a so, okay, so if Jamaica has a pro league, who is funding that pro league? How is that pro league going to be funded? And are the young ladies, is the compensation that these young ladies will get, can they support a family? And
Well,
you know,
I
I
mean,
mean, just like when um, what's his name in cricket came to as president,
Cameron, give.
Dave,
Mm,
and decided that, well, players must be able to get paid to play the cricket locally,
mm,
that them can drive a car to the and put food on them table.
mhm.
And that is something that it seems as if the rest of the Caribbean refuse to credit Dave Cameron for doing. But in this case now, netball, um, I mean, I know there are a couple of good players in the different islands. And if a pro league is formed, say in Jamaica, will they bring some of these players in to play the pro league, or will they bring a team in from these islands?
Well, somebody have to put the structure together, draft,
Hmm.
draft a plan, John. I see that cricket, we have a West Indies Cricket Association. We have West Indian soccer being developed sufficiently, where you say you have teams in Grenada, you have teams in Trinidad and Barbados. It takes less persons to develop a netball team in an island because the teams are not populated by as many players as soccer when you put them on the field.
Hmm.
It's like basketball. You can have an indoor court, and if you have a good coach, you can go out there and selectively find the best athletes that you have and put them with a good coach. We have the same thing with track and field right now, John. With the teams, the clubs that you have, where you have Shellyan and Usain and the others. I mean, it is the same principle that when you look at who they're training, they're taking the best talent and turning them into world beaters. You could do the same thing with netball
Hmm.
because you're working with a smaller group of persons. You might therefore be working with a smaller budget versus having 22 members on a soccer team, or
Hmm.
or having 22 members on a cricket team. Okay, and I would think that there are enough interests. Okay, there's enough interest in any of the countries that you might look at. Okay, and even when you look at the foundations that supports these type of sports, that a good proposal can elicit grants, John. Okay, I mean, we see where the U.S. government, for example, donates money to be spent in the inner cities in regards to sports. Okay, we had that when Kamala Harris was vice president. That was one of the noticeable things that when that they said that the government got money and it was supposed to be spent in the inner cities. Okay, they put a stamp on it as to where the money should be spent.
Hmm.
And in the United Nations, when they talk about developing certain certain weaknesses in certain places, whether it be Africa or it be in Central America or the islands, they always identify some of the basic things that needs to be done to improve the life, or to improve the culture.
Hmm.
And Unfortunately, we look at Jamaica and we still ask about why is it that we do not have, why we are talking about developing a league at this late stage when soccer has developed leagues down there, cricket has developed leagues down there. Okay, and you ask at this stage, so why not netball when
Yeah.
when you have a ministry of sports and culture who
Mark,
recognize?
there is a senior league in netball now, you know.
Yes,
Yeah, there's a senior league.
right.
But we're
So,
talking now, we're talking from that is amateur, we're talking pro,
well, that's my point.
you know?
You know, that is, we send our athletes to the Olympics, but they are pros. They're not amateurs.
Most of them, yeah.
Okay, I mean, the US send the basketball players to the Olympics. They are pros, John. They're not amateurs.
Yeah, because remember there was a time the US sent an all-star college team, you know, Trevor.
Yes,
Until one the year that they got dusted.
yes,
And they say, well, it's time we go to the pros.
yeah, they woke up and this from
Yeah,
their
because
dreams,
the rest of the world started catching up on them
right? So
and
they
were
send,
able to beat the college players.
and they send the dream team.
That's in the dream team.
So I'm saying is that, you know, college players used to be playing their hearts out in college football and other things, and they were not being paid. Now they're being paid.
Hmm.
Okay, so we have to look at the amateur platform we have in Jamaica and realize that maybe you need to make a change, John, where you go
Mm-hmm.
from amateur to professional. Because if you don't have the professional platform, you cannot blame the business for not supporting
And that
a
is
platform.
probably what is happening even with our track and field, Trevor, that we're not recognizing that we're not amateur anymore. These people are pros. It's not they're not high schoolers.
That's
These
right.
people are pros. They're running for money
That's right.
to eat food.
That
Mm.
is right, John. So I agree with her that the transition has to be made because some countries have the resources and some countries have the interest.
Well, you know, Trevor, when Mrs. Bernard was president, under her presidency, they started a Caribbean high school tournament, championship.
Uh-huh.
But it seemed to have kind of gone by the wayside. But that is something we'll have to talk to Karen about after she becomes president, if she's
Yes.
going to revive that, you know.
Yes.
The problem is, I think a lot of the Caribbean islands might have been, if you want to call it, hesitant in playing because they just don't match up with Jamaica, high schoolers, and I guess they don't like to be swamped or dusted out of the competition.
Yes, but all the other sports, John, have to play against Jamaica, from soccer to cricket. So they're gonna get accustomed to losing, and then they're gonna get better and start winning, John.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
and
so
develop and
yes,
develop.
so I do not think that the kids, John, who are playing the game, if you tell them that you want them to play, you take a high school soccer team right now, and you tell them that you like to arrange a game for them to play against the reggae boys, their excitement is gonna be off the charts
Mm,
because you know it's not whether you win or lose for these kids, John.
mm,
It's how you play the game. The fact that you get a chance to play against a top-rated team, they're not looking for high schoolers are not looking to play against primary schools, John. Okay, they're not looking to find a high school team that they can beat up and bully and go home and say they won the game.
mm,
Okay, and that goes for track and field also. They're gonna run against Shelley and Elaine, and they know that they're 5 seconds ahead of them before they start the game, John. But they
mm.
are not. But they are not withdrawing. from running the race.
Right.
Okay, that is embedded in them.
Mm.
Okay, and the same thing. We never had a Julian Alfred before. We have one now, John.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, she was always looking at Chilean and Elaine and those out there standing on podiums.
Mm-hmm. And the track and field bug has seemed to have bitten St. Lucia now.
That's right.
You
Okay,
know, yeah.
and the same thing can be done for netball. Which um, offer more opportunities for athletes of all shape and sizes to participate in the game.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now we hardly have anybody who weighs 250 pounds trying to chase Seville or Usain Bolt down the track. Okay. But we have to sell the idea that there is a place for every person when it comes to sport.
Mm-hmm.
Even if it's chess you're gonna play, or domino,
Domino time.
yes, and and if and when you find you have sports in a country that is not being promoted by the ministry, and realizing that other countries might be putting more in it than you are, then you are shortchanging the talent that you have. Because
Mm-hmm.
if you're not feeding them, John, how do you expect them to grow?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So again, I keep on saying, the Ministry of Sports might have become a little bit lackadaisical with the winning that and the fact that, like the Ministry of Tourism, you always stand out there, and because you're getting accolades, and after a while you only see the stars, you don't see the ground below the stars. So you can brag that if you think Usain Bolt was good, we have some on the farm coming, but you don't talk about what's happening on the netball farm,
Mm-hmm.
what's happening on the swimming farm. Okay, complete neglect. Okay, and that is something, as I said, we have to speak about it publicly because it exists. It's a fact. It's not a fiction. So when you find a president or impending president have to speak about the fact that they're looking for people with integrity. What breeds integrity? Integrity, I mean, you have to ask yourself, what has been happening? Why you do not consider that the past was filled with integrity, while you have to put it down as one of your essential?
Well, I suppose because there was no AGM in 4 years, for whatever reason, you know.
Yes.
Yeah. Anyway, Trevor, let's move on with some more netball news in
Yes.
the Suncorp Super League over there in Australia, where we have several Sunshine Girls in action and another stellar shooting night for Janelle Fowler Nemhard that led the West Coast Fever to another win, defeating the Sunshine Coast Lightning 69-54. Fowler Nemhard completing 49 of 51 attempts on goal and 2 of 3 super shots. And she has, since she has returned to action, Trevor, she has led West Coast Fever to 10 in a row wins,
Okay.
which is a record.
The record.
Yeah. Fellow Sunshine Girl Shanice Beckford supporting by completing 16 of 17 attempts. Sunshine Girl Shimona Jack also had an efficient shooting night and led her Melbourne Mavericks to a 68-64 win over New South Wales Swifts. Jack completing 61 of 63 attempts on goal.
Uh-huh.
Sunshine Girl Romelda Aiken George, her Adelaide Thunderbirds, also a winner. 56-53 over the Melbourne Vixens. Romelda Aiken George Not as efficient, but hitting on 41 of 47 attempts.
Okay.
Boxing news. Jamaica's heavyweight boxer Ricardo Big 12 Brown, who fights out of Canada, lost his first fight going up against a fighter of quality for the first time Friday night. He was stopped by Russian Arslanbek Makhuvdov in 1 minute 57 seconds of the first round.
Wow.
18 of Mahmoudov's 19 wins have ended inside the distance.
Oh my.
Big 12 Brown, meanwhile, his record now stands at 12 wins and a loss, 11 of his wins inside the distance. And a news out of Jamaica. Jamaica's Minister of Culture, Gender, Entertainment and Sports, Olivia Babsy Grange, announced that Jamaica's greatest boxer and legend, Mike the Body Snatcher McCallum, will be buried in Jamaica. The minister said there will be memorial services in Las Vegas and New York, after which his body will be flown to Jamaica for burial. Mike McCallum died May 31st, and he was 68 years old.
And yet, you know, John, when you mention boxing, it's Bunny Grant that pops in my mind.
If you, he said, if you want to keep your money, you put it on Bunny. You know, I used to love to see him boxing, you know, Trevor, but he was lightweight and then moved into welterweight. But boy, I tell you, I used to love to see him. I used to love going to the gym and watching him even skip rope. Yeah, man. Bunny Grant, he was my favorite boxer as a youngster, you know.
Yes.
I say, if you want to keep your money, you put it on Bunny. When he was going into that first British Commonwealth fight against Dave Chandler.
And you know what is so funny, John? Because at that time we never had television.
No.
Yet we all knew about Bunny Grant.
Well,
and now that we have social media and all the things that comes with the territory for McCollum, for example, he's getting the royal treatment because we have all the social media coverage, all the television coverage, all the advanced technical communication coverage that we have now. Yet, when Bunny Grant was boxing, he was a national symbol.
Yeah, but you see, Mike McCallum now was boxing champion in 3 weight classes along the way.
Yes.
And when you are a pure boxer, you know, Trevor, the crowd loves to see that. But you see, when you're a knockout guy, you can knock out people.
Oh, yes.
You come to the fight expecting you to knock out the guy, whoever you fight, you know.
That's right.
And that was the body snatcher.
Yes.
His body blows hurt people.
Yeah.
Anyway, Trevor, as I say, moving across the Caribbean, and a big rugby win for Trinidad and Tobago women, defeating Mexico women 18-16 in a thrilling Rugby America's North women's test at the Larry Gomes Stadium. Trinidad and Tobago, coming off major defeats in their last 3 games, 73-7 in Yucatan by Jamaica, 96 loss to Colombia in 2023, and a 27 loss to Mexico. So they turned it around and Mexico and beat them 18-16.
Okay.
Sir Richie Richardson, former West Indies cricketer and captain, will not take on the role of Antigua and Barbuda Sports Commissioner due to a demanding ICC schedule.
Okay.
Antigua and Barbuda government has apparently been after Sir Richie to play a role in the government. Last year, Sir Richie was announced as by the government actually to become the country's latest commissioner of sports,
Mhm.
following unsuccessful talks to make him a government senator or junior minister. But as a member of the ICC elite panel of match referees, Sir Richie has a demanding schedule of ICC cricket and an intensive travel schedule that has hampered his ability to get together with the government to formalize the appointment.
Which is their way of saying, John, stay the hell out of politics.
And, Trevor, with the growth and expansion of football now on the island of St. Lucia, the St. Lucia Football Association has launched a referee recruitment drive. The program is open to both males and females
Oh, yes. Now that you're
between
talking.
the ages of 15 and 30 years old.
Mm-hmm.
There's one proviso, however,
You have to wear pants.
individuals must have at least a high school education.
Okay.
Training will be provided by certified officials and includes both classroom instruction and on-field experience.
I thought they would have said that you have to wear pants on the field, John.
Well, no, who like short shorts? Anyway, Trevor, let's move along to close this afternoon's sports update here on the Social Ball Media Network with a bit of cricket history. And today we take a glimpse of Indian off-spinner Harbhajan Singh, who played 103 test matches, 236 one-day internationals, and 28 T20s for India. He'll probably be best remembered for helping India defeat Australia 2-1 in a three-test series in India in 2001. After losing the first test in Mumbai, India won the second test in Kolkata and the third test in Chennai.
Uh-huh.
In the second test, Singh sent back Ricky Ponting, Adam Gilchrist, and Shane Warne with consecutive balls for the first hat-trick by an Indian bowler. He
Aye.
picked up 13 wickets in the second test, and with 4 from the first test and 15 in the third test,
Ooh.
had a series haul of 32 wickets.
Wow.
And that's where I draw stumps on John Sports Corner this Wednesday afternoon on the Social Ball Media Network. Thanks for joining us. Tell a friend that we span the sports globe. And remember to go to the Winner Circle store in the Social Ball shop and pick up available merchandise of your choice, as well as the great Jamaica Blue Mountain coffee. Folks, be safe.